To begin with, the anti-war movement was more akin to an anti-war coalition. All wanted the end of the war, but every group had different methods and end goals and differences amongst themselves. Women's Strike for Peace, also known as the WSP, pushed for peace through the construction of Vietnamese motherhood that was equivalent to the American ideal in an attempt to appeal to the public. They also argued using the hypothetical deaths of American soldiers and children to try and sway public opinion against the Vietnam War. The WSP attended the first American peace activist meetings in North Vietnam, as pictured. They also worked with the NLF, focused on showing the barbarity of war, especially its effects on Vietnamese women and children, to sway public opinion. The VMU and the WUL were far more revolutionary than the WSP. They saw Vietnam as a war against US imperialism and wanted reunification of Vietnam and total withdrawal of the American forces. VMU and WUL were far more militant and supportive of violent reaction. As a result, they used the image of the female guerrilla rather than that of the mother. All encouraged to travel to Vietnam to witness the reality firsthand and to meet victims of the war. SANE, Committee for a Sane Nuclear Policy, wanted the immediate cessation of US involvement and the neutralization of Vietnam. They were largely motivated by the fear of the breakout of the nuclear war between Russia, America, and China. The My Lai massacre and public trial of Lieutenant William Cawley shined light on the experience of the American troops and helped fuel anti-war activism amongst veterans and civilians alike. Vietnam Veterans Against the War became a major protest group in the anti-war movement. In January 1971, they marched to Washington and threw their medals away on the steps of the Capitol. And in 1972, they showed up at the Republican Presidential Convention in Miami to protest against Nixon's Vietnam policy. Some, such as Andrew Hunt, argues the Vietnam Veterans Against the War gained massive popularity after the protest in Washington. They became the darling of the anti-war movement and were at the front of the movement. Nixon couldn't suppress them easily, owing to the fact they were white and veterans, with repression leading to uncertainty in the polls. The policy of Vietnamization, increasingly seen as an admittance that the war was unwinnable, and the polls swung by 1971 and were largely against the Vietnam War by 1972. Students played a large role in the anti-war protest movement throughout the period, but they are most known for the infamous protest at Kent State University, Ohio. This was in response to Nixon's announcement to broaden the theater of war to Cambodia. 4 students were shot dead by the National Guard as a result of the protests, with Nixon referring to the protesting students as campus bums.